What's up, everybody? We are here with Zach Allen, a eBay to Amazon flipper and a shoe flipper, and he does everything across the board, a lot of e-com in general. We connected through a video game sourcing, aka your boy Jack. So tell him our audience about yourself, Zach.
Yeah, so the past few years, I actually was a high school science teacher. And so I was living up in Detroit, um, probably about 2 or 3 years teaching and trying to figure out, okay, I have a nice, hefty sum of a teacher salary. Like, what is the next step for me? Do I want to teach for 20, 30, 40 years? Or, like, what is the next step? And so I had sold on Amazon, or excuse me, on eBay on and off for about 10, 12 years since out of high school or so, just make a couple extra $100. And I had been selling shoes just here or there on eBay and started to see people specifically selling on Amazon, people like Reezy Resells, and starting to do like, large crazy sums of money. Then, making all those cool videos of going into a Marshalls, a TJ Maxx, and flipping shoes from there onto Amazon, right? And so I'm like, man, I'm basically doing this already. I didn't realize there was a group of people who were kind of doing the same thing. Like I had done it here or there over the course of 10 years, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, going into thrift stores and finding cool shoes and posting them on eBay and, making quick profits. But it never actually clicked that, hey, like you can actually make a living off of this, right? Like you can make, even if it's not a living, you can supplement your income doing this. And so, long story short, like I hit a very rough patch in my life back in beginning of 2018, like February through like May of that year. And like kind of like my back was up against the wall, and I'm like, okay, I've got to find something else that's not teaching income, right? So I had 4 pairs of like high-end Kyrie Irving basketball shoes that I basically ended up selling in a 3-week, 4-week period. And, basically just took that money and like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to continue to snowball this. And so I went back to the Marshalls, the TJ Maxx game, the Burlington game, going into stores, finding shoes and flipping them. And so I continued to snowball that. And then last January, I decided to actually get into Amazon. And so that's what I've been primarily focused on the past like 12 months or so. So, yeah.
Very cool, man. Let's talk about that back against the wall, right? So, like, do you believe that was the turning point in all this of your like really big e-com like expansion, or let's walk through that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, because so I'm a person that like I love to learn. I love to listen to people, watch videos, educate myself in all areas, not just Amazon, eBay, right? But the watching the videos can only go so far. So I'd probably spent, 8 to 10 months just heavy, daily, couple hours a day, diving into videos and learning how to actually grow this into a business. And when it came down to the fact like, hey, like you're not going to be able to, pay rent next month unless you actually do something. Mm-hmm. And so like, basically because of my back was against the wall, like that's the only reason why I'm here right now. Like that's the only reason why I think I've done pretty well over the past 20, 22 months or so, is like I had to do something other than, just rely on teaching income.
Mm-hmm. That's I think that's the main turning point, man. Like that's super fucking cool, honestly. Like even
like, I'll even go into like a story a little bit. Like I was living out of my car from February 2018 to late April 2018, I'd say. Living on my car. When I could, I would rent a hotel room like when paycheck came. I'm like, okay, now I can, live out of a hotel room this week, but next week it's probably like back to my car. Like I was going through like some like serious shit there for a while. And I'm like, man, I'm 20, I'm probably 28 at the time. And I'm like, man, I'm going to school each morning and teaching high school kids. And I'm going home and I don't have a place to like live. Like I have living in my car like here and there. And so I'm like, okay, I have 4 pairs of shoes that I know are worth some pretty good money. Let's get rid of this. I sold it below market value just to get rid of it. And I'm like, yo, like this is a cheap bedroom in some guy's house for like the next few months. Mm-hmm. And is lived out an 80 square foot room for like 4 or 5 months or so. literally did nothing but watch Netflix at night and worked constantly during the day because it was like during the summer time, so I was off. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to actually take this to the next level. And then the cool thing about it is like, yeah, my back was against the wall, but like I figured out like I love this. I'm obsessed with this. Whether it's sneakers, whether it's Amazon, like I like literally this is my entire day every single day. So it's been a blessing. Yeah.
And then once you become obsessed, then the game changes, honestly.
It
Like
does, man. Like
for,
people ask me like how many hours in a day are you working?
yep.
And like the real answer, like of actual work, is probably like 3 to 5 hours a day. How many hours do I feel like I'm working? Every single waking minute. Like I feel like I don't stop. Like like literally I'll be on my phone like the entire day just doing research, whether it's buying things off of eBay to flip or if it's looking for shoes like locally on Facebook. Like it's my entire day. It's all I think about, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it.
Yep. So other than the Kyries, what was your best flip so far that really was like, damn, this could be like OG real?
So this is actually kind of funny because this actually happened a few years prior to this. I was living in San Diego, and this would have been 2015. And like I said, like I had sold shoes on eBay here or there. I was really like pretty knowledgeable about them, even though I was never someone that like I never had the money to go out and buy like, you know, high-end nice shoes that even though I was obsessed with them, very knowledgeable about, like I just never did that growing up. I didn't really grow up around a culture that did that either. And so I moved out to San Diego beginning of 2015. Sorry, this is a long story. I try to make it pretty quick. But as soon as I got there, I started going into like the same sneaker shop, this retail shop, 2, 3, 4 times a week, getting to know them. Long story short, I actually even did a podcast on this, and I ended up backdooring 10 pairs of a Yeezy that was being released that summer. And so basically what that means is I gave them cash that was over their retail price. When it came down time to release day, they basically held on to them and released the other 20, 30 pairs that they had. They kept the 10 pair, and like a week, actually it was probably like 2, 3 weeks later, they ended up selling them to me at a markup because they could only sell those shoes at whatever the retail price was, $200, $220. They ended up selling each of those 10 pairs to me for $500 a piece. I gave them $5,000. Literally, like I was living in California, like San Diego, a couple blocks on the beach, barely working, just kind of enjoying a free spirit lifestyle. And, you know, spent 2 months prior to that figuring out how I'm going to get $5 grand. Gave him $5 grand. They gave him the shoes a few weeks later. I didn't have money in my bank account for rent even. And ended up selling all those shoes for, it was like around $900 profit, or not profit, excuse me, $900 a piece, so around $400 profit per pair. And so
not bad.
There's a quantity flip, but still I made probably a little less than $4 grand profit on that.
Damn, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. I've done it a few times since, but it's been I guess smaller flips, more quantity, but the profit was significantly smaller. I basically got lucky because I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but it was wild. It was absolutely wild.
Did you just have like a feeling that it would work out? Like what was like the thought? Like,
so to give you like a little bit of history, like so Kanye went from Nike, being endorsed with Nike, to being endorsed with Adidas, making shoes with Adidas, and he had I'm gonna probably butcher this, at least 1 or 2 other Adidas collabs. But it was, I think June was the first Yeezy 350 that was released, like one of the shoe models. And they actually approached me about backdooring those pairs, and they told me how much at $5 grand again. And I'm like, I don't have $5 grand. Like I barely have $1 grand in my bank account, right?
Yeah.
And only because that was for rent, because it's, you know, it's California, it's expensive. And so I actually watched that first pair that was released, and the resale value on those, I think, were anywhere, depending on size, was anywhere from like $900 to $1,200. And I'm like, wow, that's basically a 50% or excuse me, 100% ROI. Like, and I went in and I'm like, hey, like next time this happens, let me know. Like I have the money. Even though I don't have the money, I'll find a way, right? And so the next release was like 2 to 3 months later, and they approached me like 3 weeks before the release and said, hey, we're gonna get X amount of pairs. We can hold that, you know, 10, like the same, basically the same deal. Hold those 10 pairs, $500 a piece, $5,000 total. If you want them, they're yours. And so that's why I knew it was going to work, because it already had like a track record.
It hasn't fast. It's the same thing as everything, right? You know the data, you're
Hmm.
golden at that point.
Right, absolutely. And I didn't know, like, so Kanye had even released some shoes with Nike before that, but like the real expensive shoes I never got into, because it's like when shoes are $1,000 or more, like that's way outside of anything I could ever imagine at that point. So I didn't pay attention. Like he had like, a track record with Nike at the time, and I didn't even like pay attention to it. I could have done more research, I think, the first time through, but still worked out.
Yeah, definitely. You made $400 of profit, and so you made 4 Gs in a matter of a couple of months.
I sold the first 2 pairs just to pay rent, because like I said, I had maybe $100 in my bank account at the time after I paid it. I sold those first 2 well under market value just to be able to pay rent like in like 3 days after that.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. Let's talk about has the cost of living, have you kept a low cost of living, because you said you were living at your car? Has that low cost of living continued to where you're at now, so that you can keep building up a cash flow to buy more and more and more, or what's the game plan with that?
Yeah, so 100% has, because I did the very smart thing every almost 30-year-old should do in this situation: move back in with your parents. So
Yeah.
I actually moved from Detroit to Knoxville. So I'm
Okay.
currently in Knoxville, East Tennessee. And so I'm basically living in their upstairs, and kind of turned this into my workspace. So yeah, my cost of living from in Detroit, where I was living, wasn't cheap, but it wasn't expensive either. And now I've kind of basically gone to almost zero now. So, and I'm kind of, as soon as like the school year ended and I figured out that I was gonna come down here, like I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go full time with this as well. So I quit teaching. This is my only job now, and figuring out what that next step is right now, and that's what's so exciting.
Dude, that's interesting. I'll tag team on that. Like, I moved to my parents as well, to be a full time reseller. Right? It's for me. Like, I was my mom's house. Like, it was nice to stay with her. Right? It's kind of a pain in the ass, but like it saved so much cash, and it made you be able to grow so much faster
So
to like
quickly.
leapfrog anybody else. Right?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I was kind of already like thinking about going full time. Back in August, whether I was teaching or whether I wasn't, or excuse me, if I was going to stay in Detroit, I was still thinking about going full time. Obviously, saving a couple $100,000 a month, can't really beat it. So
No, not in the slightest, man. Like, yeah, like for me, so I moved from my mom's house I built a little shed inside the warehouse that I was living in, dude. So like, what's a good term for it is?
it's a humbling experience.
Oh my God, right? Yeah, dude.
It's so funny too, because people will ask me, I'm like, yeah, I live with my parents. I don't care. I don't care about the stigma. I think the stigma is kind of going away anyways.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, it's allowing me to grow. It's allowing me to expand, and like it's just bringing about so many opportunities now. And so it's like trying to figure out which one you want to take. It's the only problem now.
Yep. On top of that, I think it's interesting to even think about that, right? I know for personally, like it was like the more opportunities, like I'd always jump at them, but it was never like too many opportunities is so distracting. But like that's why like we're trying to keep focus with like one opportunity now, and then just like go for it because it makes money, right? That's kind of like my thought process on.
No,
that's
yeah,
how like
I'm the exact same way, because I didn't, like, even with reselling, I didn't have a full-on direction. It was a little bit of OAs, a little bit of RAs, a little bit of the eBay to Amazon flips, is a little bit of sneakers, and probably a few other things, thrift stores, all that sort of thing. And now that I have like all this free time, I'm trying to really narrow it down into like wholesale / the eBay flip game, and then the sneakers, just because I love it. Even though it's not going to provide me. I mean, it could, if I really took that like 100%, could provide me with a decent little income, but I'm just obsessed with it, and I'm not going to stop it. So
no, definitely. So let's talk about those, right? So you said sneakers, eBay flips, and then wholesale. What do you think has the most potential? What are you trying to grow right now? I know you said that sneakers is kind of like more of like a passion project, right? You just like sneakers, that's why you do it. So what do you think? What are you trying to focus on right now in general?
So my main focus right now is the eBay to Amazon flips, and also I think that's like the short to medium term, just because I see the power that it has. and through that, I'm going to try to find more like wholesale connections. I have one already, which is pretty cool. It's, same, be able to have the same products come in every single month, even though it's like a lower ROI.
Mm-hmm.
I know that those products, how quickly they're going to sell. It's basically just a guaranteed, $1,000 each month. Right.
Yep.
And so if I can continue to grow those accounts, especially now that I am full-time and I have the hours to actually go in and do the research and make connections and go reach out and contact people, like I'm going to slowly get more and more into that, especially in 2020. I was waiting for, Q4 to kind of end and that madness to kind of take that approach a little bit more. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we're the same way, right? So continue with eBay, Amazon because the margin's there, but then fill in that back, like you said, that make that $1,000 a month consistently and grow that. So you're not always. So right now we're always having to buy, right? For us, it's a constant buy cycle. And if we stop buying, we stop growth, right? So that's kind of our problem. I think we're on the same page with that.
No, that's exactly it. Because we both are, right? We're professional shoppers, right? So if you take us out of the mix right now, like there is nothing that's going to continue. And that's, to me, is not a true business, right? Like it's got to be able to operate without you at some point. And so honestly, like that's my biggest goal this year is to figure out, and because I am a much smaller compared to you, where you guys are at right now. And so my process right now is to figure out what exactly are my systems going to be? How is this going to work without me? So yeah, I completely get that. That's something I want to like pick your brain on a little bit now that you have, a few guys in there, like what is, basically what is each of your guys' roles right now on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, definitely. So on the back end, we have Luca doing all of the fulfillment, right? So all the product gets in, he lists and packs. That's his day-to-day, right? We have Micah doing content creation and some marketing aspects of that, right? So and then Tyler does buying full-time, and then I do buying, software, and a few other fucking things here and there.
Wow, so you're actually the one that's doing the software.
Fuck yeah, I am, man.
That's crazy, man. I didn't realize that. I figured you had your hand in it, but I didn't know if you were actually the one, like,
That's my background, man. I worked in the Silicon Valley for a while. Like, so in college, I jumped to Silicon Valley. I worked at a VC firm and a startup incubator, right? So that I understand like what the play is there, and like it's very, very unique in the sense of it can scale really high when you can just drive as much traffic and it works, right? And it just and like the whole money, like to generate money. So again, my job right now is to one of the things is we have a cap, right? So we're burning through money so fast. So we get about 70 in Q4 we got $75,000 payouts, so twice that month. And we would burn through $35,000 in a day, right? So then we're sitting on our hands because we would burn through that $75,000 complete in a week. So like, what's the problem there is like we ran out of cash. Like now I'm trying to raise money, right? So I had a few connections that we're trying to raise some cash with.
Yeah, that's actually my next question right there.
Yeah, so we got a couple offers out right now. So a couple private equity guys, and then this guy that actually owns a Amazon company, a private label, right? So we have a few private equity guys and that Amazon guy that are kind of all in the mix that we shot out all deals to, and see who comes back with the best deal, and also who gives us the best deal, and kind of shot from there. That's kind of the game plan. But right now it's between. We got a couple out between 100 and 350. So 100,000 and $350,000 is kind of like the range that we're shooting for right now.
That's incredible. Did you starting out? Did you guys do any type of like loan or anything to get started, or is it just the 3-4 of you?
Yeah, so definitely. So it's always it's been my cash completely. So I take all the risk, right? Mm-hmm. So we took out a PayPal loan. It's only like $60K, right? We've paid the majority of that back already. I don't like their loan terms because it's cash up front, right? So it's $6K up front, and then you have to pay back a certain dollar amount plus interest each week, right? So like it just depletes your cash. Like if we had that cash, we can continue to grow. That's why right now we're shooting for balloon payments at the end. So we have a year payment. We pay the interest in between, but then it balloons to the whatever amount that may be, right? Again, cash flow is king in this aspect, especially like moving. It's just tough. But yeah, so other than PayPal, it's just been credit cards. Like I spent my credit card company probably loves me because I make them so much fucking money, man. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing. So I was kind of curious, what, especially starting out, like what you guys were doing, because I've been looking specifically at the PayPal loan program that they have now. Being in Tennessee, like because I right before I moved out of Michigan, they like Amazon like did the little offer for the Amazon lending, whatever it's called,
Mhm.
and I was like thinking about it, and I moved down here, and I'm thinking, okay, like when I get settled down in Tennessee, I'm gonna go ahead and like I'm gonna dig through it a little bit deeper, but Tennessee is actually not a part of that program, which kind of sucks.
Interesting.
So I've been looking at Amazon, but mine, the same thing, has been 100% credit cards, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works out. Plus, you get those points too. Like we talked
Dude,
about,
it's
you
nice.
take the flight points, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anywhere you want to travel with that?
I've been looking. I hadn't even looked. I posted this on my Instagram story the other day. It was kind of funny because like have not even looked at my credit card points. I've flown twice with them, and I have a Chase Southwest I'm looking at right now, and a actually it's not right there. Chase Southwest and a I think United through Chase as well.
Okay.
And I was looking at my United points. I'm like, I can fly to Europe and back and still have a lot of points left over. So I don't know. We'll see what the future is. I haven't really traveled that much in the past 2-3 years, and I feel like that first 25 years of my life, that's all I did.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I got to figure out. I've been thinking about actually. I have a friend moving to Japan next year, actually in a month,
Okay.
and actually like 2 weeks. And I've been thinking about going over there because I think the Olympics are there this summer, and so
Hmm.
maybe like right after the Olympics, I was thinking about going over. But I don't know. We'll see.
That sounds
What
like a fun
you guys
time,
are you
man.
guys focused? I asked you this the other day. Are you guys focused on cash back or what as far as that
Right now,
goes?
right now we have 1.5 cash back, but like everybody's saying there's better options out there. So we spend so much freaking money, dude. That like 1.5, it adds up. So like what is
Right.
that? So we spent about 150 last month. So 1.5 becomes like two like 2,500 bucks cash back. So it adds up, right?
That's nice. So you said 150. So that was actually the next question too. Is like what your weekly spend is. It says around 40.
Yes, our weekly spend is, let me see, divide that by 4 goes about, yeah, about 35-ish. Then we have some like
Mm-hmm.
extra for salaries, pay, all that stuff, right? Because we do have a lot of overhead now, especially because we're adding so many freaking people. It's like it's a cash flow game. So like I try not to hold cash, right? So like it's probably not the best decision right now, but it's fine for right now. But like so we just continue to turn cash over and over
Okay.
and over again, man. Like I try to leave no cash in the account at the end before each pay cycle, right? So we can
Mm-hmm.
just turn it all over and then get it back. It just takes a lot of risk, and then we have overhead on top of that. So we have a 6,000 square foot warehouse. What 12 people that we have to pay, also like returns and all that shit. It just
Right.
continues piling up.
No, I hear that. It's fun headaches, right?
Yeah,
Fun
yeah, yeah,
headaches
yeah, yeah.
to have.
Oh god. Yeah, let's move on. So let's go on the eBay to Amazon stuff. Like how are you finding products right now? What would you tell people that are just starting out? Like what's the best way for new let's go with this. What's the best way for new people starting out to get started with reselling and flipping like OA?
Specifically, so I don't do a lot of like just strictly OA unless it's marketplace to marketplace.
Yeah,
and
marketplace and marketplace.
and it's not because we're talking right now. Like I have people a few times a week reach out and say like what's the best way to start with this, and I literally immediately send links to your videos. I think like two in
Hey.
particular. Like immediately, I'm like, this is essentially what I'm doing, and it's going to simplify the process a lot easier, right? Like it's
Mhm.
going to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long those videos are. You're going to be like, okay, now I know exactly what to do. Like
Yep.
it's not that hard. So yeah, that's primarily like how I have gone about it. But obviously, like I didn't stumble upon your software until like late November. So I've
Mhm.
been playing around with that, getting used to it, really enjoying it. But it's just I was sitting on the couch probably like honestly about a year ago today, and I'm like, I've been buying shoes off of eBay and flipping them onto other marketplaces to sell shoes, and
Mhm.
I'm making profit. I'm like, I'm sure you could buy Nike shoes on eBay and flip them onto Amazon and make a profit. And yes, you absolutely can. However, I can't sell Nike obviously on Amazon. And so like my whole goal up until probably of June of this year is okay, how do I get ungated at Nike? just like how everybody is. I was finally sitting there and I'm like, I know other products. I know, and the funny thing is, like, your videos are mainly focused on like older electronics. I'm like, I have a decent knowledge of older electronics. And so I started doing that and searching just like brand names and seeing what pops up and comparing sales. And so it took a lot of learning to do this over the past few months. And that's what's so awesome about like your guys' Chrome extension and training is like, it's taken what I've basically taught myself in 6 months and simplified it until you can probably learn it easily in a week. And basically take all that knowledge and just condense it down. And so way I'm finding products right now is I have like what I call like a master list. And I actually don't even know how many products are on it. I've probably doubled it. It's probably between 100 to 150 products, I'd say. And I just basically get on every single day and, you know, look that product up. And because I'm starting to sell so much now, I'll, you know, and this is what I think one of your latest videos was on. I actually haven't gone through and done it yet, but, or watched it, but anytime I'm on a listing, I'll go and check like, you know, the Keepa graphs on that Amazon listing. I'll go and see who else is selling it and has decent seller metrics and go through their product catalog. And that was mainly how I found products to begin with. And so like, I think the very first thing I ever did, and this was again, almost a year ago today, I just got on Amazon, searched Sony headphones, found like an older model, because that's where the arbitrage is going to be, right? If something 100%. Is selling like, you know, hundreds and hundred units a day on Amazon, it's probably doing the same thing on eBay, and the prices are probably the exact same. And that is pretty much true, right? So I'm okay. I know this because I do the same thing with shoes. If a shoe is not selling as much each month and it's pre-owned, especially, you know, there's going to be a better chance to get a deal. So I just did the thing with Sony headphones or Sony Walkman or one of the two. And I found a guy that was selling it and had like a couple hundred reviews. And I went through his catalog and literally did that for a week and probably built up, you know, honestly, probably 50% of my current list today, just on that first week of searching through what other people are selling. And I still sell those things today.
Yep. That's 100%, right? Once you get that list, once you build up a list, it just continuously just chugs along and continuously goes. Other than eBay, what other platforms are you buying on right now?
Just Macari, I believe.
Macari?
Yeah, just Macari. Macari's been nice. It's okay, so I don't do that as much anymore. I do offer up in Facebook primarily for shoes because I want to be able to buy in bulk. So I have an ad. It's not an ad, it's a post on both of those platforms that are up constantly and says, hey, I'm buying sneaker collections. Hey, I'm buying Jordans. Hey, I'm buying Yeezys, and trying to buy bulk shoes that way. And especially like over the past year, I did a lot of buying on OfferUp and Facebook, but now I just don't feel it's that worth my time unless I find a bulk deal or I, you know, find that product that's $200, $300, $400 profit, which, I mean, if you're looking every day, it's not that hard to find, especially in electronics, especially in camera equipment, anything like that, video game console, that sort of stuff. Like there's money to be found there. I just, right now, I don't think it's that much worth my time.
Are you selling, like what percentage are you selling used? What percentage are you selling new?
I've been closer to 50-50 this past 2-3 months.
Interesting. Okay.
But beginning it was 80-90% used products. And so,
interesting.
Yeah. What do you guys have actually?
So you know? That's the thing. We're probably 95% new right now. But like, it's just because we like for like a team, it's hard to start like testing. Testing is an extra person we need to add in, right?
Right.
That's what we're trying to do completely new right now. And then we're starting to see the market kind of shift as we're going to start diving into that used market because the margins are just like astronomically better. So like, that's why we sell like that 5% used we sell. It's like I buy things at $100 and they sell for 300 like consistently, right? It's like that's like we'll jump into those things too. Or if we can find like I just picked up one of our suppliers 300 units of new and then 100 units of used, right? So I'll do those like bulk if we can get a lot of units in as well. So it all depends. We're opportunistic. Like that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that is starting out, like that is exactly where I would focus on is those used products because the risk is a lot lower. Yeah, you're gonna hit a lot of returns, but
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna learn how to use the equipment, right? So the equipment's gonna come in, the electronic, whatever it is, you're gonna learn how to test it. And then the price is like, it's easy to go out onto eBay and find something for $10 to $20 that sells for 70 or more. And
Yep.
you can find this every single day. And a lot of those units are still selling, 1, 2, 3 times a day on Amazon. So like once you learn that, like there is not much risk, because even if it does get returned, there's a chance that it still works properly. And if it still works properly, you can relist it back onto Amazon. And like, again, you're still going to make a profit even if it gets returned. Obviously, you do have to do your due diligence and make sure, like, a compartment door of like the batteries are like not corroded and you didn't catch it the first time, or the door handle is messed up and you didn't catch it the first time, or you didn't properly learn how to play it, or whatever it is. And but yeah, like that's exactly where I would start, as a beginner, as a newbie.
Definitely, you hit on top of the head. Like, as long as you search, especially in the used stuff, like I try to tell people all this time, you'll find something. There's so much out there, and like that's like people are always like, "Yo, you shouldn't be releasing this because it's gonna crash the market." But really, we can tell people, and they still won't do it, man. Like what the
yeah. That's what I've gotten to the point now. I love when people reach out to me through Instagram. I love helping people. Like I can do it all. I can do it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I got to the point, I'm like, but you have to do me a favor, and I don't care if it's like 2 years from now, tell me like exactly like, how it went. Like, and I'll reach out to you. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing about it? Like,
yep.
You've been wanting to start, do it. Like, it's not that big of a jump in it. I think everybody kind of seems like it feels like it's going to be, it's not. So
let me ask a question. Why aren't more people on eBay doing eBay to Amazon arbitrage, or even Amazon people doing eBay to Amazon arbitrage, or marketplace arbitrage?
One, I'm sure it probably hasn't hit people yet, that it's like, oh, like we know, because if you're a reseller and you're even semi-successful and you do it, a couple hours a week, you understand that there's a different market on each platform. Like, you understand that, Amazon is going to command a higher price. That's why people sell Amazon FBA, because it commands a higher price, even on used products. I don't know. The main thing is, I don't think people it's clicked that you can buy it here and sell it here and still make a profit. And then two, I think it's a few of the things that like concerned me at the beginning was just being kind of scared about it, of, what if I buy something that is defective off of eBay and I don't catch it and I do sell on Amazon, and then people are going to come at me, or like, everybody's scared of getting their account shut down, right?
100%.
Like on Amazon. So like I get that fear, and if you do have that fear, like I'm not going to sit here and push eBay to Amazon flips on you, because you do have to have some type of comfortability with the risk that you're taking, right? So I think that's kind of the part of it. I kind of brought it to you briefly in the past, any type of authenticity claims. Yeah, I think that big fear of that account being shut down, honestly. Yeah, sorry, like, same question for you. Like, what do you think about it? Like, is there anything you think that's it, or do you think there's anything else?
No, I think you hit on top of that. I think the first one is no one actually understands it yet, and like we've been trying to push it. Like we've been trying to push it, but at the same time, like it's not. If we over push it, like people are if they're not going to do it, it's like the first to enter this field are always going to take the most, are gonna win the most, right? It's a what is it, a blue ocean, as in there's so much opportunity and there's so much out there right now. But the more and more people come into it, then those opportunities will collapse, right? But right now, because it's so new and no one does it, like there's the world of opportunities. I think that's number one. Two, yes, 100%. And the claims to get your account shut down is 100% going to be it, right? Like even for us, like that's the only thing that's like always in the back of your mind. Is like, okay, fuck, like if our account gets shut down, we're so fucked. Like either way, right? Other than those two things, like that's the biggest thing. That's what we're trying to do. The more diverse products and older products you have, and especially in used products as well, like used products, you're almost never going to get a IP claim because it's used, right? The owner's almost never going to give you an IP claim, especially like in like, I don't know, whatever thing is. They're trying to find the newest products that are, because like why would a Chinese manufacturer completely build a product that costs. I built a product, costs you thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a product. Why would a Chinese manufacturer build that out, spend all that money to only sell 10 units a month? It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's so even last summer, like that was my whole thought process too. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus on these older used products because what's the likelihood of, you know, someone filing an IP claim? It's probably close to like zero. So that's kind of like that was my risk at the beginning. And so that's why I say now I'm getting closer to 50-50 and selling a lot more new products, understanding, you know, it's not an irrational fear, but it's not as, you know, the likelihood is not as what I thought originally. So
100%. That's a good topic to even talk about, like the thought process of, because Amazon's a giant, right? If they crush you, they'll crush you. But like as long as you obey by their rules, like it's going to be fine, right? What's the worst that could happen? Like maybe you get a few returns. Like that's the biggest thing, at least in our book, right? The only kicker is then like once you get to like our level is like we're sending out, like I think we're doing like last 60 days we did about like 4,000 products we sent that sold, right? Is you're selling so much, and we jumped on a listing with this company. Oh my god, they're probably so mad, and we just completely destroyed them, right? So so Mike is even laughing, man. So we were buying products for 30 to 50 bucks a pop, and we were buying a lot of them. They were selling 90 a month, and there's probably 15 SKUs, right? We were buying so much of it, and they're selling for 160 a pop. So we're just moving product, and literally no one can compete with us because the secondary market is insane, right? So like it's eBay, especially, like you can buy things for so much cheap because people are either trying to it's usually liquidation, right? So people are trying to get rid of it, that we were just crushing these people. Like we held the buy box 99% of the time, and if anybody lowered it, we could just lower it. We beat Amazon at their own game all the time because they couldn't even compete, man. But then that leads to like since we're beating these people so bad, like it just like they'll send you cease and desist orders, so we had to like lawyer up on that. But they can't do anything because we're legally protected by the first sale doctrine, right? So other than that, like that's been the biggest hiccup so far, is because we were just crushing these people so hard. They were so angry, man. Oh my god.
that's incredible. That's incredible. Oh my god, that's incredible.
I think we were making like $30,000 every.
How long were you on the listing?
I think like
before they sent it.
I think like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously, like it wasn't a private label product or anything like that.
No, it was a branded product, right?
Yeah.
So it was
how many other sellers were on the listing?
Like 10, right?
What was their claim on it?
So they hit us. So so this is the only claim they hit us. It wasn't an IP claim. So they hit us with a listing claim. As in, we changed the photo, but we never changed the photo. So that's like, we're getting that dropped, right? So we're going to jump back on it and just kill them again. Oh my God. Either way, like that's the long story. It's like,
that's incredible,
they hit us with a listing they hit us with multiple listing claims, which is it's a pain in the ass, right? But other than that, like
desperate, right? Desperate.
Yeah. Oh my god! It made my day when I was like, because like it would sell at 165, and like Amazon was trying to compete with us, and it pushed us all the way down to like $99, and we bought them for 40, so we're still doubling our money, man. So we're just like, okay, and then they pop back up, and we just jump back up with them. It's fantastic.
So real quick on that, are you guys buying from like the same supplier? Did you found this through eBay, or do you have a bunch of different sellers on this?
We have a bunch of different sellers. So like I pulled up to get rid of that claim. I had to pull up all the people we bought from, and it was like 150 people. Like, but sometimes there's a few guys that had more. Like they had like 5 or 10 units, but they would only sell it to us one time because they got it out liquidation, or they got it from like a store closeout or whatever it may be. So other than that, like we had so many people that we bought from.
That's incredible. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I got something that will be interesting for you. So like I asked you a little while ago what your email address was.
Yeah.
I was going back through the things we bought, and we bought something from you on your eBay account.
Really? I was about to ask what it was, but obviously don't say it because I'm probably still selling it maybe because there's a few things I do sell on. Still sell on eBay. So yeah, don't say it out loud. I'll hit you up after this then. That's funny. Was it that product? I mean, actually, don't tell me that. I don't know that you can tell me that. Never mind.
No, it wasn't that product. It was another product. But like,
that's funny,
I'm like scrolling through this. I'm like Zach. I'm like, does this match up? That's why I sent you the first thing was oh, and we bought stuff from we buy things from all these like influencers, like Bearded Picker. I made like a few $100 off of him. The College Picker, I made like $500-600 off of him.
I'm trying to think what it would be. I have no idea. I haven't sold anything on Amazon or eBay in a while.
Mm-hmm. It was a while.
I'll figure it out.
It was a while back.
I'll figure it out.
I thought it was funny. I thought you could chuckle out of that one.
That's crazy.
All right. So other than like, what categories are you selling in right now? What's your main category you dove into, or what are you trying to what are you trying to get into more?
Main category right now is electronics by and far. Electronics, office products, video games. Probably the top 3 on Amazon. And then I don't really know what categories I'm like trying to get into. I've been thinking as far as like wholesale products, there's a few different categories between like supplements and pet products. There's one other that I'm blanking on. But yeah, those are my main ones I'm selling. Trying to think if I can leave anything out, looking around. No, yeah, those are like my main things right now. And then outside of that is shoes.
We've done a few supplements. I like supplements because they're like super small. Like we bought some some pills, right? It's hard to find them again, but like we bought some pills and great margins, very small to ship. Like it was nice. Supplements are great.
You guys have been flipping those from eBay?
Yeah. Dude,
yeah.
95% of our shit's from eBay. Like we have like
that's what I figured.
Sellers.
That's what I figured. And I've thought about the supplements from eBay is just any like expiration dates or anything.
It'd be non-expired.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's kind of and I'm not educated enough on the supplement side to know what other restrictions or whatever outside of you're ungated or not. So I'm just not I'm not educated enough to know that for sure, but it's definitely something I have thought about.
Do you sell your video games? Are they mostly used video games or are they new video games?
Both, but most of the new are still older video games. So like, I'll share this. Like I love selling or flipping from eBay, like GameCube, PS2, PS3 games, like those older console games. Incredible margins. I share this on my Instagram all the time. Like, cause it's getting harder and harder to find. So if people want to look for it, is the older NCAA football games. New especially. So if you can get like your hands on NCAA 14, NCAA 13 for either Xbox 360 or the PS3, the selling those anywhere from $55 to $70, especially during Q4. I've probably sold 20 copies.
Really?
Yeah, and picking them up for about $25 to $30 a piece, and they're gonna sell, and they sell pretty quickly. And then the NCAA football 14 selling anywhere from like $165 to, wait, am I off on that? I think I'm off on that. I sold one for $300. I'm trying to remember actually what the low end. I don't remember what the low end was, but I sold one, especially on Xbox 360, it's a little bit higher price. I've sold at least 2 in the past 3 months at $300 that I picked up for $90 to $100.
Really? On eBay?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I picked up one. I picked up one over the summer locally that was still sealed too, and so I don't know, probably sold 20 of those this year or last year alone. So,
fuck man,
and it's incredible. So yeah, if you just like get on eBay and search like new, what I search is like sealed PS3 game, and literally just go through. And so this is something, especially with the update with the Chrome extension, I don't know if it's able to pick that up yet or not. But I think it's something I've shared. Go ahead.
Try the little Amazon button that we put into it, so you can actually then search it on Amazon instantly. It's a Jeopardy call, so it's gonna be random. It's gonna be based on the title. but like it's still it's helpful. It's like 50-50 shot. It's relatively helpful.
Right. Yeah. So that's, since you guys have updated, I haven't gone through and played around with it enough, but that's exactly what I did, and would just go and compare prices, and there's a ton that you will find.
Yeah.
And especially if you just search by like make an offer. That's my favorite thing to do.
Yep.
It's like, what can I make an offer, and then find a seller that has multiple copies and make an even bigger discounted offer. And it's, I don't know, man. I think we're living through an incredible time with this. And actually, that's my question I've been really wanting to ask you, is specifically with eBay to Amazon flips. Do you see this as something that could be a long-term play, as far as like maybe 8 to 10 years or more? Or do you think this is going to be like a short-term play?
I think we're looking at probably like 3 to 5 years that it's going to be played out, right? So I think of it like this way, right? So new is going to be, it's going to level off, right? Especially with more people coming in, the new is going to start collapsing, and then it's going to be used, right? Used is going to start collapsing or start reaching price, right? Unless the economy shifts where it's not a good time, right? That actually will help us out by far, right? As if the economy starts to crash, it makes it so that people are trying to liquidate stuff faster, businesses are going to start collapsing, and then we can just play out the margin right there. Because unlike wholesalers, we're not based on a large unit of orders. Like, right, what's the largest unit of orders you had so far in terms of one purchase by the same product?
Buying from eBay?
Yeah, buying from eBay.
15 to 20, I'd say, units.
Perfect, right? So like,
actually, no, I take it back. I did have one that was like 3 separate orders, like within a week from the same person, and it was about 45 to 50, I'd say.
Dude, but still, right? So like, how fast did those sell? How fast did you sell those out through though?
Less than a month.
Like you barely hold inventory, so even if the economy collapses, hopefully you can get your money out of what you have, but then you can just rethink like, okay, what's the new low price, and what's the new things that are
play a new strategy out of it. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's cool, because that's exactly like, being the beginning of the year, January 2nd or 3rd, whatever the date is today. Like, I've been sitting around and thinking, like, okay, what are my goals for this year as far as this goes? And so I've been thinking heavily about like, how long do I see this playing out? And that's cool that you say 3 to 5, because that's exactly what I had my eyes on, is okay, so how hard can I go, especially where the economy is nice, how hard can I go over these next 3 years to really put myself in a position where I can leverage this into something else, or continue with Amazon and maybe a different, maybe more wholesale or something else. So that's really interesting to hear.
Exactly. Like it's especially because we are the people that are the first ones in this market, right? There's like, even like we talked about
at least at the scale.
Oh, the scale, like even jumping into, because like you said, people are scared that their accounts are going to get shut down, so they're even scared to jump in it. So they say, if you guys are watching this, please do not get into eBay to Amazon, because let's make some money.
No, that's when I saw your first video, I was like, no, you cannot be doing this. I'm like, you were showing one of the products, exact products I was selling already. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? Don't do this. And I was like, you know what? I don't actually care, because I share products all the time. Especially if you're paying attention, because I don't like outright say like, hey, I'm selling this on Amazon. I sell products all the time on Instagram, like my stories and stuff. So I really don't care. Like, I've shared the NCAA football video games probably 50 times this year, just because I don't care. No one's actually getting on there and searching and buying them. And I'm literally saying, hey, I just bought this for $80. It just sold for $300. You can go do it too. No one else is doing it. At least if they are, I'm not realizing it, but there's not many of those out there. But that's awesome.
Dude, like you hit it on the head. Like, so like, where else can you make $200 by just searching something? You know what I'm saying? Like, not it's almost impossible. Like, and how simple it is. All you do is search something, you buy it online, it literally ships to your door. So you have to go garage selling or going out thrifting, right? It ships to your door, and then you ship stuff back out. It takes out all the headache.
Yeah. So I want to piggyback off that. So I love listening to like real estate podcasts, right? And so one time they had, the podcast I was listening to had Tim Ferriss on the podcast, right? And he said this quote, and it was like, if this were to look easy, what would it look like? Not saying that you're not going to put in work, but if this was easy, what would it look like? And this is actually like the quote when I heard it, and I was doing primarily shoes at this time. This was probably 2 to 3 years ago, right? 2 years ago. And I'm like, damn, what would this look like if it were easy? I'm driving around all day. I'm going to Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. I am constantly, in my car driving to outlets. I'm spending all this time, and like I may spend an entire day sourcing stores. I may hit up 10 to 15 stores, and there's a chance that 8 of the 10 stores I go to doesn't have anything worth buying. At least that fits my criteria. So I'm like, okay, how can I make this easier? And so that's where I started posting the ads post on Facebook saying, hey, I'll buy collections. I'm looking for like 10 more pairs, preferably used, because that's where the markup's going to be. And then so when I sat down and like, okay, I want to get into Amazon, what would it look like if this were easy? I'm like, well, online arbitrage, absolutely. Not having to leave your house and to spend all this money on gas, spend an entire day driving around, and something can go wrong. You're stuck in traffic, where something like you get in a wreck or something like that, and it ruins the entire day. What would it look like? And so I'm like, I've already been buying shoes off of eBay and flipping it onto like StockX and Goat, which are shoe reselling platforms. I'm like, okay, we do the same thing, but with other products that I know. So that's exactly how I got to this point.
So that whole thing with you flipping shoes, like how scalable is like flipping shoes off eBay and putting them on StockX and like Go? How profitable is that? And can people scale at all doing that, like in terms of like big time?
The scaling part, I don't know, because
Okay.
I will literally. Actually, this is the only YouTube video I've ever made, and it's this exact process of going onto eBay and selling it onto like Goat. And it works for any platform really, right? So if you're ungated in like, let's say Nike on Amazon, it'd work the exact same way.
Yep.
It's definitely out there. It takes a lot of research, it takes a lot of knowledge too, because where it gets hard on this scalability process is like all these, you got to know your stuff when it comes to like authenticating shoes, right? It's like if a shoe comes in and it's fake and you sell it, like that's on you, that's on your name, especially if you're trying to make this as a business. So you got to know the authenticity part of it. Then there's not as much data that's out there driven, right? So there is, but sometimes I don't know how trustworthy it is. So if you're looking at data on Goat and StockX, there's just not enough in my eyes. And there's a lot that's hard to predict in the future too, of what that landscape's going to look like. Because let's say I have a pair of shoes that are brand new, released 2 years ago. Nike or Adidas can say, hey, we're going to make these shoes again in 3 months and release them. And so what's going to happen to the value of my pair of shoes? A lot of times, not always, a lot of times it's going to tank in price, right? There's the off chance that it could rise because of other characteristics as well, but it's very hard to predict in that scenario as well. There's one other point I had on that, but I kind of forgot what that was. Whatever.
And then for like, let's say we're trying to figure out what's the top platforms that you either source on or sell on, or have ever sold on. What do you think, like the top, give me your top like 10 or the ones you've used in the past.
Just platforms?
Yeah, platforms in general.
So buying is eBay, and then just like personally, obviously Amazon, but I'm not buying to resell off of Amazon.
So do you even buy on eBay? Let me ask you a question.
What, do I even buy on eBay?
Yeah, like if you had like let's say you needed
like buying a present for somebody.
Yeah, or Trident gum or some shit like that. Do you buy it on eBay?
I buy shoes personally off eBay for myself. Okay. I'll buy like clothing and stuff. Because I'm not like someone that like, I don't need my stuff right away, right? And that what I just said is exactly to me why eBay to Amazon flips is so successful, is because like, dude, I shared this on my Instagram the other day too. I ordered 8 units from this one seller on November 19th, and it got to me like ordered it on November 19th. It got to me on December 23rd. Damn. Over a month to get to me. But I don't mind waiting that long. Now I do mind waiting a month, but like I don't mind waiting if it takes 7 days. I don't mind waiting because I know I can turn around and I'm just going to turn around and sell it, right? That's not for me. It's not for personal consumption or anything like that. So that's just a side note of why that's another solid point of why this is so profitable is, people love Amazon Prime. People love getting it in 2 days or less, right? So yeah, eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Mercari, StockX, and Goat. and then OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. I haven't bought or sold anything off of Grailed before, which is like another like streetwear sneaker platform. I've used Let Go in the past, but I just hate it. Like it's just a weird. I just don't like the, I don't know, functionality of it. I don't know what it is. Like it needs a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll search like PS3 console and it'll give me like women's running shoes. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like it never did. I got off that immediately.
So thanks. It makes it helpful because we're trying to do a couple different things with all that information. Is the one thing we're working on right now is like a cross-listing like platform, sort of like there's a bunch of them out there, but for everything across the board. We think we might have a little leg up on that. Just keep trying to build and see what else we can do with build some cool things.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you guys come up with this. Even just from like the first and second update with the Chrome extension, like I'm already blown away with how much progress it's had in a month and a half, 2 months of using it or so. So
yep, thank you.
I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
We're trying to like, what else would you like? This is kind of like more self-centered, right? What else would you want to see on the software? Like what's kind of like, is there a barrier to entry that we can help solve? I'm trying to figure that out because it's hard to get data from people.
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about this from like a beginner's perspective. So I think any data-driven thing, like maybe incorporating some type of like Keepa related graph right into, I'm just kind of spitballing like this, that definitely. Literally just came to me. So like if you could like scroll over an eBay listing, right? And I obviously I don't know how the software works, right? But if you could scroll over the eBay listing and have like a Keepa type graph be able to pop up and say, oh, but it's actually showing like maybe it could show what it's selling on Amazon, or it could even show the eBay sales history. And I think like the eBay sales history, a lot of people don't understand other than looking at like recent sold, like just like filtering sold, what is actually sold in completed listings. But even that, you don't know like if it ever actually went through. And this is why I don't like fully trust the sneaker data, is because just because it says that something sold for $1,000, you know, that could be somebody manipulating it, right? Trying to increase the market value of that shoe. So that's where I think a lot of times, like how often do you order something from eBay or sell something on eBay that's like, oh, this got canceled. I've been selling this one product the past 2 months off eBay and I get notifications every day. It's like, yo, like someone went into their account and purchased it and tried to file a PayPal claim against it saying they didn't actually purchase it. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, like that stuff happens all the time on eBay. Like there's so many people out there trying to scam it in a way. So it's like I don't really trust that data. So if there was something that was a little bit more like that, where it shows like, hey, the payment actually cleared, this marked the sale, something like that. I don't know. That's just something that randomly kind of came to me.
What things are you using with the extension right now? Like what are you using on it?
Say it again, sorry.
The extension, what features are you using on it that we can improve, or what features do you use right now?
I mean, just the whole search functionality mainly, like searching brand or product name or something like that, and doing the search and filtering that way. And other than that, really, it's just the saving of products, right? Using that, saving the top list and being able to it's so nice. Like this whole game to me is how quickly can we do this, right? So if I can wake up in the morning or before I go to bed each night and I have 50 items on my top list, just do a one click and it searches, like that's perfect. So I haven't actually gone through and searched for new products yet for like past month or so because I've just been Q4, let me just keep replenishing the same items that I've been buying and selling. So I haven't gone through and I know like the whole like CSV files and stuff, the videos that you guys put out recently in the past 2-3 weeks or so, I haven't gone through and used those functions yet, so I can't really say that yet.
Even on the CSV function, this might be helpful, is download the CSV from your past solds on Amazon, right? So
so I actually just downloaded that a few days ago because I've been trying to make a new, I guess, master list of products, and so I don't know why I didn't think about that. That just makes perfect sense, right? Like I've been going through and like deleting products that don't meet my criteria anymore, whether it's returns or it's just I'm not selling enough. And so, yeah, that's genius. I'll probably do that right after we get off the call.
Definitely, dude. Reports, go to reports, go to detailed reports by child ASIN, and then just scale where however long you've done the selling for. So in your terms of year,
Yeah.
right? And you can just
Mhm.
grab all that data instantly. And if you want that ASIN, just plug the ASIN into my top list. It'll filter all that for you, and then you can just edit them and then start just clicking. That's all I do daily right now, and we that's how we pull out a shit ton
God,
of
that speeds
cash.
everything up. I love that. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's a little thing. Um, products, service platforms. Cool. Other than that, man, I think we've crossed a lot of things we want to talk about. Is there anything else you want to talk about right now? Other than if not, we'll end it.
I mean, not specifically. I could, but at the same time, I could sit down and talk about this for 5 more hours.
Same, man.
But no, I don't have anything specifically I want to talk about.
Cool, dude. Other than that, Zach, it was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. This will be in a podcast and a video on our YouTube. If you want, send me your YouTube link or any other like Instagram, whatever. We can plug that into the bottom of the YouTube so we can see if we can get you some followers. If we
Appreciate that, man.
we don't have fucking many, but
No,
still.
I mean, hey, anytime I get a chance to talk to you, I've probably known you 2 months now. Anytime I get a chance to talk to you, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on. So it's cool.
Definitely, man. Let's jump on more of these. I'm thinking about putting together like kind of like a mastermind that'd be fucking free. Like so people like us that do this can all jump on a call consistently and kind of like update. It'd be kind of fun either way.
Dude, I think that'd be a game changer, especially, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what scale you're at right now. I think it'd be a game changer. It'd be cool. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm down.
Awesome.
I'll get my YouTube up and going too. I'm gonna have to have you on, even though I'm trying to do more sneaker related stuff, but I just want to do like all entrepreneurship, honestly. So I'll have to have you on one night.
I like it, man. I like it. Let's reach back out and let's figure another time to do this.
All right, man. Sounds good.